What is a basic skill that you grew up thinking everyone had until you saw others do it so horribly? Being polite, having manners. Following an instruction manual. I heard people say I don't know how to build an IKEA cupboard. Neither do I. That's why they ship it with instructions. Using a washing machine and dryer. Explaining things. If I explain something and someone tells me they don't understand, I explain it again, but frame or phrase it differently. I will never understand why so many people think just saying the exact same words again in a more exasperated, condescending tone is at all effective. Mopping, sweeping. I had a friend who grew up with maids. He was 18 and gay and his family kicked him out. So he got this tiny little rundown studio apartment in Los Feliz. He was super proud of it and invited me to see it. He was using candles to light it when I got there, maybe to save money, maybe to hide the blemishes, and had left an ashtray on the floor, which I accidentally kicked and got cold ashes all over his carpet. He freaked the duck out. What do I do? How am I going to clean that? With a vacuum? I replied, confused as to why this was a mystery. He didn't have one. So he went to ask the building manager if there was one he could borrow, which there was. He pulls this standard upright vacuum into the middle of the room and then stares at it. After a few seconds wondering what he was doing, I asked, "Do you not know how to use a vacuum?" "No, you have to understand. We always had maids. I never even made a bed before last week. So I plug it in, turn it on, and take it a couple times back and forth across part of a carpet. Then, like a child with the Fisher-Price popper vacuum, he went to work. He was over the moon excited. 25 years later, it's a favorite memory of that person. I kid you not. I lived with a guy once who had a butler his whole life. Things I taught him. 1. The funky knife with a hole in it is not useless. It's a potato peeler. 2. You open cans with a can opener. 3. Nothing needs to be microwaved for 10 minutes. For the record, I really liked this guy, and he was incredibly fun and kind. Laundry, especially emptying the dryer lint. So many places I've stayed had bad dryers that were packed full of lint. How these people did not start a fire is amazing. It's still pretty amazing watching how some people use their phones and computers. Like you could give some leeway in the 90s and earlier. Computers back then were fairly complicated for a lot of functions. But after 30 plus years of design refinements to make them about as easy to use as possible, plenty of people, including younger people, interact with them as if they are afraid it will get mad at them personally if they mess up. Being able and willing to figure stuff out. A lot of basic skills aren't that complicated. And in this day, if it is complicated, the internet almost certainly has dozens, hundreds, or more tutorials. Quitting because I don't know how should not be the answer. I wish more were taught to figure things out, or seek the help answers to get it done. I'm shocked at how bad some people are at following written directions. Not travel, but like, assemble furniture, follow a recipe or experiment, read an instruction manual. Being gentle with your things. Anytime we get help from siblings and their spouses, I'm astounded by how roughly they treat all of their things. How rough of a job they're okay with accepting. Also, when assembling furniture, my best mate put together a set of shelves using a drill as a driver on the short and easy to insert Allen keyed screws. Stripped half of the heads and forced a few in at slightly off angles, and also stripped their threads a bit. Like, what are you doing, bro? Could have just used an Allen key by hand and put it together in the same time without damaging anything. Learning. The simple ability to watch others do something and try to redo it yourself. Listening. Looking things up by yourself. And, goddamn, asking. All of these make up learning. Nowadays you'd have to add finding tutorials on YouTube. But growing up I didn't have that. I thought that everyone younger than me knows how to do basic computer troubleshooting. Turns out a fair of people younger than myself don't know how to look up answers online. It honestly baffled me. Basic awareness of when to call emergency services. I recently saw a guy having a seizure on the ground on a busy street. There were 100 plus people standing around watching him. I shouted, "Has anyone called an ambulance?" And everyone looked at me blankly. People were recording with their phones, but hadn't thought to call an ambulance for the guy. This is in the UK, so it's free to call an ambulance and the man's hospital treatment would have been free. The whole thing freaked me out. Cooking. Using a washer and dryer. Cleaning. Most importantly, cleaning. I had a terrible experience with some roommates. Just couldn't clean up after themselves. Forgot who's made the mess. And would constantly blame the house being dirty on me. Me, who would literally wash every plate after I used it. Never left a dish in the sink. Would take out the trash fairly often for everyone. And whenever I had guests over, I cleaned up the apartment and left it the way I found it, if not better. Had to move back into my mom's house for peace of mind. I would have caught her charge back there, eventually. Basic cooking skills. I once saw a guy try to cook pasta by dumping raw pasta shells in a frying pan with a little oil. Swimming. I feel like I need to be a lifeguard every time I go swimming and watch some people flail wildly in the water they could just stand in. I'm still amazed at how many people my age still can't use computers properly. I don't mean in the too old or too poor category. I'm talking about the sheer number of people in my age group who skipped past computers and went straight to smartphones. I'm 21. The scientific method. My public school science teachers drilled us over and over on critically designing experiments. I thought that was normal. Turns out, my hometown just has really good public schools. My 8th grade English teacher had a doctorate. Writing an email with proper grammar and formatting seems obvious and easy to me, but I see so many people at work who are just the worst. Writing, and I don't mean grammatically perfect pieces or novel writing. I'm amazed how many people can't do basic level writing stuff like putting sentences in logical order, using basic punctuation and grammar, etc. I'm not a world-class writer, but years of Catholic school taught me the basics. I occasionally proofread papers for younger family members and honestly don't even know where to start. The grammar issues I can deal with, but the total lack of organization in paragraphs drives me crazy because I basically end up writing the damn paper, so it makes some kind of sense. Basic first aid. Buddy in college got cut and didn't understand how to make it stop bleeding and bandage disinfected properly. I was amazed. Cooking eggs. Ducking amateurs everywhere. See also, walking in a non-invasive manner at the grocery store. Get the duck out of the middle of the aisle. Duck. Also, apologizing. Few do that these days sincerely. Sewing. I thought I was a mediocre sewer because I wasn't great at cross stitch and embroidery. Turns out fixing a button or seam is a skill. Reading a map. I grew up traveling long before computers. I've handed several adults paper maps while driving, and they didn't even know how to find where we were. I guess it isn't a skill you need anymore though. Planning. Chewing with your mouth closed. Using a hammer. Throwing your trash in a trash can garbage can and watching people leave their shit outside their car when they are in a parking lot drives me nuts, especially when no one will pick that up and it's literally littering. For me, it was sweeping. I honestly don't know how a young adult can't hold a broom, but I swore I had a stroke that day, and every day I see him sweep. Clean the damn lint screen out of dryers, and doing laundry in general. I've been tossing my clothes in the washer and dryer since I was like 5. My college peers around me have no clue how to do any of it. Cooking. Some people can't boil water. Reading and writing. Punctuality. I thought being on time for work and appointments as an adult was just a given, but the more I deal with the workplace and working with clients, this is not true. The ability to use a turn signal. Watching your mouth as an adult. I'm pretty abrasive with people that I'm close with, but I know how to be professional, especially in front of customers. Worked with a fair few people in the restaurant industry who just do not get it. Blows my mind. Reading. I sit in my high school English class every day and wonder how these MFs got past 2th grade reading a whole page in a monotone in one breath. Some people can not only not clap on 2 and 4, but can't even just clap on every beat. Grammar. I had to comfort myself with there. Cooking. I was a fine cook from a young age, since I considered it an essential life skill. Yet, so many people would set fire to a bowl of cereal, it's frankly frightening. Spelling. I mean everyday language, even texting. Said instead of said, done instead of done kinda stuff. Watching smart 50-year-old men in manufacturing get introduced to sending an email is mind-blowing. Bagging groceries. I mean, isn't it common sense to put all the frozen items in one bag, produce in another, raw meat by itself in a bag, cleaners separate from food? Does it really have to be taught that you shouldn't put a cantaloupe on top of bread? Washing dishes. I'm noticing that a lot of younger people can't read analog clocks. The 4 directions north, south, east and west. Many of my adult friends don't even know that these directions never change. It was gone over briefly in primary school, but my dad taught my brothers and I very young where the North Star is, and how knowing the cardinal directions and more importantly how to read a compass could save your life. 2010s I was downtown Toronto with friends. Nobody happened to have data on their phones to load directions, so we could only look at the Google map. I was adamant we needed to walk west to get to our destination, and that I knew where west was. It was 3 against 1. So we ended up walking east instead for about 2 kilometers until one of them saw a building they realized was definitely not close to our destination. Ability to save and budget money. Running a shovel. It's harder than it looks apparently. My family runs a mobile home park. I've been digging for plumbing, or fences or planting stuff, or building stuff my whole life. Watching someone else shovel is painful. Properly washing dishes. You'd think it's easy as can be, but no. Lord knows I've come across far too many plates and silverware still covered in the last meal's residue. Wiping their ass. Changing a tire. I grew up not terribly into cars, but everyone around me stressed how important just being able to change a flat tire was. It was a badge of honor to be able to do it under 10 minutes. I once stopped some guys about to put their jack under the plastic air dam under the front bumper. That would have crumpled up like a Dixie cup. Contingency plans. It's amazing how many people don't have a plan B for every situation. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.